9:30. 9:31. Good morning, Tony Dattino. The days and weeks seem to be flying by. My goodness, Thanksgiving is seems to be around the corner at this point. Christmas thereafter. We're seeing Christmas decorations in our neighborhood stores already. It just seems like we might start Christmas in July next year. I'm not sure. But what I wanted to do today is I just keep reading and reading about the importance of taking control over our own cognitive functions, our mental awareness. I just keep reading about Alzheimer's and dementia and things that people can do and taking control of their own lives and their own cognitive fitness. And I go back to an article, or refer to an article, in the September 2025 issue of Mind, Mood, and Memory that's put out by Massachusetts General Hospital. And it really talks about the importance of puzzles and games that can help boost brain power. They also kind of sneak into that importance of socialization, which I've talked about so many times, and the differences that being socially active and not feeling isolated or alone. But what I found interesting in this is working on crossword puzzles or brain or games. I should say, I talk about board games. We play a thing called Rummy Cup, and you've got to look at the different numbers and put strings of cards together and things of that sort, where you're actually having to use your head and you're looking at the whole picture of the board and each player and what they're having and what you have in your card, and having to go through an analytical process in your mind that challenge you to think and employs your cognitive function. And so what this article is suggesting is emphasize the value of engaging your mind in stimulating activities. So what are things where it's causing you to have to think? So crossword puzzles is certainly one that you keep seeing more and more of. Having to come up with different words and different combinations of meanings of words. And sometimes I think about it as I do them, I think of the challenges of the English language, which is obviously can drive you a bit batty at times. But it certainly causes you to think. And as you start to see letters that you put into these boxes and what that looks like and how you can complete words and then meanings of words and then understanding what that does. I find board games, as I said earlier, Rummy Cup. Puzzles, I guess as you're looking at different puzzles that require you to put your mind to order, maybe jigsaw puzzles. I don't do jigsaw puzzles, but I think about it as you're looking at a scenery and you're having to figure out the shape and the size of the piece of your spatial awareness, your holistic view of looking at pictures and image, and then deciding how to sequence them. You know, when I've done jigsaws, I go around the edges and then fill in, looking at the pictures and then the box and the picture and the pieces and the sequencing of. What they suggest is the value of engaging in a range of stimulating activities. So ballroom dancing continues to show up as an activity. So we have crossword puzzles, we have mental board games that we can do, we have crosswords and jigsaws, and dancing is one where you have to think about the steps. Ballroom dancing, the tango and the rumba and the cha-cha, you have to sequence and you have your body movement. And again, you're looking at the whole and then you're picking up some of these pieces. So what they recommend here in the Massachusetts article is the value of engaging in a variety, a range of activities. Puzzles, games, pursuits mean different brain regions and functions. So when you're doing different things, one that looks at pictures, one that looks at numbers, one that's looking at sequencing, you're tapping into a diversity of cortical skills that exist in our average normal human being brain. Adding a new game, that's an interesting one. Putting on a new game is also very interesting. And so I know I struggle with that in my own mind sometimes. I like to go back and play the games that I've been playing and try to get better at, but this is suggesting that we change our games up and maybe learn some new ones. Games, and this was interesting, games that require different cognitive skills. So focus, I mean, I've got to focus, like I said about the jigsaw puzzle. Concentration, where you've got to stay, okay, I've got to stay engaged. The Rummy Cup game that I talk about, I think does that very well. Working memory, verbal and visual processing skills. Just the things that we're talking about. And the verbal memory is the crossword puzzles, the sequencing of the clues and how you go across, down, fill in letters. Strategic thinking. So it's not surprising that games, especially new games, stimulate neural connections. All right, those are all those firings that are going on in our heads. Boost cognitive reserve, and they will foster neuroplasticity, meaning that it'll help us to grow those connections and the plasticity. That refers to the brain's ability to adapt and reorganize in response to new experiences and pathways that can be created in brain regions, complete functions that are impaired or maybe are not as strong as we want. So cognitive stimulation is one way to bolster your neuroplasticity. Our healthy brain functions, as the article goes on to say, it relies on many factors. Dr. Sherman from Massachusetts General emphasized the benefits of exercise. And now we've talked about this so many times, I'm not going to spend more time on it today, but physical exercise, which includes some minor weightlifting, some stretching, flexibility, and also maybe a little bit of aerobic. He emphasizes the importance of social interaction. We have talked about that so many times, not feeling lonely and or isolating. Nutrition, my goodness, if another week comes by and it doesn't change some recommendations on nutrition, that's one that drives me perfectly crazy. As I've tried to encourage people on what their nutrition is, it almost seems to change by the week. And of course, your sleep schedules, are we getting our 7 or 8 hours? And even with that, we want to get down to that deep level of sleep so that it clears out the toxins in our brains. And we want to make sure we have a healthy vision, that we can see things clearly and we're checking for our eyes. They all contribute to brain health, says Dr. Sherman. Obviously, there are no guarantees. I mean, we can only do so many things, as people have learned with their cardio health. There's so many things you can do to build cardio health, and then pop, something comes out of left field and hits you in the back of the head. So as the doc says here, there are no guarantees, but you know what? There's no harm in trying to do what you can to maintain good brain healthy lifestyle changes or cognitive function activities that provide the benefits that at least science today is suggesting is the best overall thing that one can do within your own control. And of course, there's a lot of science that comes out and say, well, genetics has got some piece of it, and you know what? You may be inherited with some of it, but to take even the half that you can do something with and make a positive impact on it, to me, is worth it. Does it take some effort? It certainly does. Does it take some focus? And maybe you're not watching TV, maybe you're not doing something that may be idly passing by, but you're putting yourself to use with a fun activity, with something that you enjoy, and constantly stressing the fact that you want to do something you enjoy, because then you're more likely to stay with it and make it sustainable and reap the benefits of it. So all of these things have an impact on our moods, which then impact our cognitive function, impacts our purpose in life, and it all connects together. And so the science just continues to come, and some of it, though, bounces a little bit, but you know what? What I've learned is there are things that you can take control of, make them fun, part of your daily routines or weekly routines, and you know what? At least when it's time, and say I've done everything possibly that I should do, and I've given it my best shot in life, and to me, I don't know you can do much more than that. Have a good week. We're off on another Monday, and we'll see you on Wednesday.